Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Thoughts. Today is episode 5, and today we wanted to do something a little bit different. We're doing a little, almost like a battle, statues versus action figures. What personal preference and which one we think is better. So, uh, Real Batman, I think if I'm not mistaken, you're going to be arguing more for the action figure portion, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. So,
There's no real wrong answer here. It's pretty much personal preference what people like. Some people like statues more. Some people like figures more. You're more of a statue guy, but you do have figures. I'm more of a figure guy, but I do have statues. So I'll be giving you my take on why I have more figures, and you'll be giving your take on why you have more statues.
yeah, no, that's perfectly said. Actually, yeah, that's we just to be clear, we both like statues and action figures. But like he just said, he favored towards the action figure side. I favored more towards the statue side. So yeah, we're just kind of doing a fun little comparison thing. So you know what? I guess I could start with my first point with statues. One of the reasons why I really am a big fan of statues is I like the fact that they are very well detailed in like certain positions, like jumping over a building or attacking, like shooting web out or throwing a batarang or something like that. That's what I like. It's already positioned for me, nice detail, and it sits on a shelf looking good. I don't have to worry about setting it up myself.
Okay. Here's my argument against that.
Okay.
Whatever statue you get, you're gonna live with that pose for as long as you have it. And that's the only major gripe I have with statues. You're perfectly accurate with the sculpt, the paint, the detail is phenomenal, especially the higher price point you go, the better the detail. But that's the same thing with action figures as well, with figures as well. But that's the thing that bothers me the most with statues. I do have statues in my collection, but um, you got to live with whatever pose they're in. And I like the fact that I can, if I get a figure, whether it's a high end or entry level figure or mid level figure, it doesn't matter. I know that it offers me that it's capable of changing the pose. I get bored with looking at that figure in that particular pose. I can change it up. And sometimes when you do stuff like that, when you change the pose of the figure into a different pose, whether it's a little bit more dynamic or a little bit less, whatever, it makes you reappreciate that figure again. And that's my argument for the figures. Whereas for statues, you kind of like, yes, a lot of them already come in badass poses. Yes, I agree with you on that. The detail is great. That's awesome. But whatever pose they're in, you're going to live with it unless you're going to sell it and buy another one.
Yeah, you're right. That is definitely one of the downfalls is that a statue is whatever pose it's in, it stays like that. That's it. And you're right. In action figure, you can change the positioning to maybe today you want Batman with a cape over the shoulders, and then tomorrow you maybe want Batman with his arm across his chest, ready to throw a batarang. But here's something I got for that now. The statues, I don't really have to worry about them falling over. Those cool poses have cool, very well detailed bases that will keep them up, propped up beautifully on your shelf. Whereas the action figure, you could put them on your shelf, pose them beautifully, close the door, and the thing falls over. Now you got to reposition that thing again. And you got to sit there, you got to play with the feet, you got to try to balance that, get that nice level balance. I don't have to worry about that with statues. They're already there. They're all set.
My rebuttal on that one is that's why they have stands for the figures, Joe. They have dynamic stands. Come on, you know this. You've collected long enough. Listen. There's no wrong answer here. We're doing this. This is more like a funny thing. Like,
yeah,
there's no wrong answer because we both have both. Okay, I'm just more geared towards figures. You're geared more to statues.
Yeah.
But there are peg stands. There's the ones that go around the waist. There's the dynamic stands. But you are right about figures falling over because unless you're rich, you're not going to get stands for every single figure, especially when you have as many as we do. But there is a way around that. There is a way around that, Mr. Respawn Granted. There's a way around that.
You're absolutely right. And you know something? You're right. There are stands for everything, and my personal favorite is the one that comes right up and hugs the crotch of the action figure. Nothing takes away nothing takes away reality like having Batman posed with two little plastic pieces coming up and nudging his testicles.
You,
Perfect.
you don't see it. You don't see
You
it. Come
don't
on.
see it.
You don't see it.
Come on, man. I've seen.
Hey, listen. If you're walking in and
Mhm.
the place you're looking on the figure is the crotch, there's something wrong with you guys.
Hey man, I can't help it if I've seen some awesome Spider-Man figures from Hot Toys, and I'm looking at this beautifully designed figure, and then my eyes instantly get pulled by two white plastic balls coming up from his costume, hugging him, trying to keep him up. I mean, come on, with statues you don't have to worry about that. You got that nice base. Usually they kind of hide it a little bit, like the legs up against like a building or something. Yeah, it hides. It looks great in the paint, like a picture. Beautiful works of art.
Listen, did it ever occur to you that maybe Spider-Man is a porn star on the side and he has to have that thing created with his ball penis because it's too big?
What, you couldn't fit in the costume?
No, not without it being glaringly obvious.
Right.
Go back somehow. Yeah, no, I hear about the crotch stands. I use them because I don't want them falling over, but they're effective. They work. And I'm looking at some of my figures right now, and I'm sorry, dude, they're not that obvious. They're not that
No.
obvious.
I can't.
But I will give you that. I will give you that.
Okay.
I will give you that.
Well, because the thing is, I can't help it, man. I'm telling you, I've looked at like Hot Toys and a few other companies that make them, and the figure itself looks so good, but my eyes keep getting pulled to that stand. I hate that stand,
Something's wrong.
dude. And even when they do things like they sometimes have like Iron Man who's flying, looks so cool. Then you got the stand coming up into like his crotch or his foot or something. It just doesn't look right. Whereas with the statue, they at least hide it more. They have I understand that there's the base is holding up the figure when he's flying or whatever, but at least like they use like the smoke to kind of cover it so it looks like, the smoke or the building or something.
Listen, we could sit here and bicker about this all day, but here's one thing. There's pros and cons to everything on a serious note. There's pros and cons, and there's no wrong in this. We're just having a little bit of fun with this. There's no wrong in this. However, if you sneeze hard enough and you knock some of those resin statues over, you better have a lot of a shitload of glue, and remember where every piece goes. So again, like there's pros and cons to everything. I've seen people where that rod that goes into their leg, they're trying to put the statue in, and it's so hard to put in, and it doesn't run it, and then they snap that off.
Oh no!
The statue's garbage because of that.
Oh
So,
no!
Oh yes,
That's not good.
I've had it happen to me, man. Look, there's no wrong answer to this, but it's personal preference, dude. There's pros and cons with everything. I can make an argument for you. I can make an argument for you in favor of the statue, and I'll be honest.
Okay.
You were just talking about Hot Toys. One of the things that you don't have to worry about is the statue's not going to deteriorate if you don't have it. If you don't have it in the proper environment. You got to have it in the proper environment. You got to have it it's got to be like climate controlled year round. And even then, it can still fall apart depending on how old the figure is. However, I'm pretty sure there's ways around it. Like me, I don't really articulate my Hot Toys figures that much. You know what I mean? I keep it very basic vanilla poses, which helps the longevity of the suit. It doesn't, because the more you move these figures, they're going to crack. The rubber's going to crack. The suit's going to crack. You might, if it's like cloth, it'll eventually like start to like wear out at the joint elbows, maybe even pinching the suit. It could end up damaging the suit that way, which is why I don't do any of that. But I also get that if you're buying a figure at that price point, and the thing is you can articulate it, then yeah, you should be able to articulate it without worrying about the freaking thing falling apart in like 8 years. So Hot Toys, fix that shit. You know what I mean? Use better material on your figure. Stop using pleather. It cracks and flakes. Stop it.
The other thing too, one big thing that I have to say between statues and figures is personal preference on the capes That's a big thing because on a figure you get usually the cloth or leather type of cape, whereas which a lot of people like because you can kind of like pull it, push it back, whatever you want to do. Whereas with the statue, it's sculpted cape, so that it is what you get. There's no cloth feel to it. There's no like real feel. It's stone. You know what I mean? So that's
what the whole thing. That's about statues, though. It's what you see is get. However, there are statues out there, but because you're stubborn, there are statues that come with cloth capes and wired cloth capes. You just don't like wired cloth capes. So, at least in that area, they've caught on and they said, look, we can have a statue, but we can have a wired cloth cape with it. So at least that you can change around the cape, but not every character you're going to get in statue form, it has capes. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess that's one thing,
Yeah. And the thing is, talking about like cloth capes and stuff, another thing that I'm not huge into is the whole like cloth on the action figure. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I always have a lot of problems like just grasping it because you have like a plastic head, plastic hands, and then you got that cloth. And I don't know why it throws me off so much. And that's another reason why I tend to favor statues because everything tends to be one type of material. You know what I mean? It's all the same thing. And it seems like color-wise and all that, it just blends in better. Whereas with the action figure, you got like the plastic blue is like one color, but then the cloth blue is like a little bit of different shade and stuff like that. Some people love the cloth, like that they don't bother because it feels like a real shirt on the character, real gloves and stuff like that. Whereas for me, I don't know, man. I can't grasp that cloth thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely something that you've mentioned over the years that you don't care for. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the type of material, like Mezco and like Sideshow. They need to stop using that synthetic leather crap, dude. Like it flakes. Like I've seen people where they have like the Homecoming Spider-Man from Mezco, and those people, some of those YouTubers, and they also have Instagram accounts. They do a lot of figure photography, so they pose the crap out of these figures, and some of them don't even last 2 years. They start flaking, and it's like, oh, that's the one thing that bothers me. I can get past the suit. Like to me, it's fine. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. Like the whole cloth, they blended in my opinion, well enough. To me, it's so much the material that they use. Make it so that way people are going to get longevity out of it. Like you should be able to like in 2020, I'm pretty sure there's enough material out there that you can use where after 2 or 3 years, it's not going to flake, crack, and peel everywhere. So, I mean, and when you're paying $80 to $100 for a figure, that shouldn't be happening. So I'll give you that on that. That's an argument that, you don't have to worry about with statues. But again, for me, my biggest problem with statues is, again, what you see is what you get. That's the pose it's in. My other problem is I didn't grow up playing with statues. I grew up playing with figures. Okay.
Wait, you didn't play with statues?
No. So that part of like that kid in me that still exists at 43. That's I guess it's kind of like that nostalgic type thing where I can still a majority of my collection is figures, which is what started when I started playing when I was a kid, and then it just created a whole other animal. And now with all these companies making collector-friendly figures, so it kind of stays true to who I was when I was growing up, and stays true to this day. So I didn't go up playing with statues, man. It's figure. I want figure.
But you don't play with them now anyway. They just sit on a shelf, which is what a statue does perfectly.
So does figures. But here's the thing. Change the pose on a figure. Look, unless you can buy Prime 1, which is a minor slight, like you swap, you get a Prime 1 statue, which you pay well over $1,000 or about $1,000 for, and you get an arm that goes like this, and you swap it out for an arm that goes like this.
Yeah.
Ooh, $1,000 for that. Oh, that's a big difference in the pose on that.
It changes the pose.
Oh my God.
No,
it's a difference nonetheless. But like me and you, we don't have room for that, and we definitely don't have room for it in our budget for sure. So maybe someday, I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, maybe if we save up a little bit, get a Prime One statue. I don't even know if I'd want one though, to be honest, because they're massive.
Yeah, they're huge. The sideshow ones they're not as big, but the quality is there. But again, you can't change the pose. What you see is what you get, and that's my problem.
But you know what though, I mean maybe I'm being biased, but I think the statue when they do the like the head sculpts and stuff, they're on point. They are good. Not so much like when you get to the cheaper ones, but I mean like the sideshows and stuff. They are good.
I don't know, dude. I've seen some sideshows that they tried doing Michael Myers, and they look freaking hideous. It's not even screen accurate. So there goes your argument out the window again, guys.
Really? Actually, you know what? I got something else to prove your point right too. Me personally, I actually like the NECA quarter scale turtles from the movie better than the Prime One. That was like I think it was like $2,000.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. So
I've seen some statues from even Prime One or even Sideshow, which is another one that's up there. What are sideshows run for? $600, $400, right?
Yeah, depending which ones you get. Yeah.
Typically, okay.
Yeah.
And I've seen when Trick or Treat Studios, which is going to release in 1/6 scale Michael Myers figures, when their face sculpts is better than your $500 statue, and the figure's only $120.
I know.
I'm sorry, dude. That's pretty pathetic. Listen, and like I said, look, and we're just having fun with this, but there's no wrong answer here, dude. It's personal preference. We know that. And you have figures just like I have statues. But to me, my biggest thing is the two bugaboos for me is you can't change the pose at all. What you see is what you get. And for me, that nostalgic, like I grew up playing with figures. I didn't grow up playing with statues. So I do have statues in my collection, but it's definitely predominantly figures. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and for me, I tend to lean more towards the statues because, one, I like the detailed bases that, it's not just like a piece that's holding them up. They actually usually make it some form of like a scene or a building or something like that. And I've always been a fan of that. And I like the fact that it's kind of like, in my opinion, it's kind of like a work of art. You know what I mean? It's a picture that's brought to life. They took a scene, they made it 3D, and now I can plop it on a shelf and admire it. You know what I mean?
I absolutely. Some of the bases that come with these statues, like sideshows and the Prime Ones and even others, they're absolutely gorgeous. They are pieces of artwork for sure. But there are figure companies that are starting to make different, not your average, just regular base with a crotch piece. They are adding some figures now. Even Hot Toys is doing it. I think Mafex is going to be the Hush Batman. I believe that comes in black and gray is going to be coming for a 1/12 scale figure, dude. That base looks sick. If that's the base it comes with, which the pictures I've seen, if that's the base it comes with, that's a pretty sick base. So they're adapting. I mean, but I will give you that with the bases for the statues. Some of them look phenomenal, no question.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is too. I mean, one thing I'll definitely say too is when you look at like the higher end level action figures, they like the sculpting and stuff, they are pretty much blurring that line between action figure and statue as far as the detail, I mean. But you know what's another thing I can never, I have so much trouble overlooking too when it comes to the action figures. And it's actually turned me away from buying a few of them that I actually really thought were interesting, but I then see this and it turns me off. And it's when you see at the elbows, they have the two knots, the two balls over here, or like you said, like the big line. You know what I'm saying? Like certain articulation points. I understand why they're there. I get it. But like I just said, when you look at a statue, there is none of that, and it looks like art, like it's something that was sculpted, made, and it looks like a scene from a comic book actually brought to life. Whereas an action figure, I understand you can pose it and stuff, but there's certain action figures that I've seen, like the head sculpt looks amazing, but then when you look, there's like a giant torso thing, or like the arm, like the ball, the joints there, they're popping out too much. Sometimes they're not even the right color. Like sometimes you'll see like I don't know, man, like Spider-Man's red and blue, and they'll be like blue coming out where the red is. It's like, come on, guys, you didn't even try to cover that.
Yeah, that's a valid point. It's like you like spaghetti, but it's got shit on it. You know what I mean? I got you. But here's the thing, though. But Hasbro actually is going to be getting rid of those pins, so it's going to be pinless. So they are working on that. So they're evolving. Like some companies do a better job of hiding the articulation better than others.
Yeah.
But it's also a higher price point. But no, I definitely hear you on that. You've always had a problem with that, though. You can't get past because, and no, I will give you that. Some of like Mattel, I don't want to keep bashing them.
Yeah, every episode.
It's because they make it easy for you, dude. Like their torsos are so bad, man. Like there's no definition. They don't even try to hide it, dude.
Right.
It's just terrible. But they're not the only ones. There are some companies that do a better job. Even Hasbro, some of their figures, like you even just touched on that point. The pins that are at the elbows, like, okay, if that part is red, shouldn't the pin be the same exact color? Why would you? Yeah,
Right.
it's just laziness. But they are going to be changing that. You're going to be starting to see it, like the retro wave that's coming out, the Spider-Man, which has incredible articulation, has some of the new articulation in it. And I believe he doesn't have the pins in it. I don't know. I don't remember. But I know that they're going to be going pinless. So
Nice.
then you're out the window once that happens.
Right. Well, because you know what it is sometimes those, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I understand an action figure has these things so that these points of articulation so you can move them. I get it. And you can position them and stuff like that. But some figures, they're hidden more so you don't see them as much and they don't look as much of an eyesore as others. Especially, I've noticed the bigger characters, like when you see like the Hulk, Venom, stuff like that, like those bigger guys, they seem to hide them a lot better than when you look at like smaller characters such as like Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four or Spider-Woman, stuff like that. Those seem to be the ones that they have like good head sculpts, sometimes even bodies, but then I look at the arms and the points, they just throw everything off for me. I need it just hidden a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Better at it. Look, example, another one that I keep bringing up. Look at the wave that's coming out with McFarlane. When you look at wave 1, and then you look at that wave that's coming out this fall, look at how much better the articulation is, but look how much better the sculpt is. How well they hide the articulation. So it's evolving, just like statues are evolving. Dude. If you go back like 20 years ago, statues were like, I wouldn't even give them the time of day. I had no statues 20 years ago, none. But they've gotten better. But again, it's there's no wrong answer here. There really isn't. It's based on what you like better. So for me, it's more figures, some statues. For you, it's more statues, some figures. So in this, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to beat me up in this video. That's fine. I'm game. And there might be people that beat you up. I'm a betting man that says that it'll probably be, I don't know, dude. I feel like there's more figure collectors than there is statue collectors. I don't know. We'll see.
You might be right, dude. And you know what? Hopefully some of the people that are watching can put in the comments below and let us know what you personally like. Are you a bigger fan of statues? Are you a bigger fan of action figures? Do you guys like more of like the $20, $30 price points? Are you more of like the $100 Hot Toys, or are you lucky enough to have Prime One statues, the $1,000 statues? Let us know.
Yeah, and if you have those Prime Ones, maybe you could donate some of the Kotobukiya that you have. You know what I mean? Just joke. Just joke.
Dude, if for me to fit a Prime One in here, I'd have to definitely get rid of some stuff to make some room because they are beautiful. Yeah. They're big.
Yeah, they're beautiful though. They are. Even the sideshow ones are, but they're heavy. You better have the right shelving or to put those on because you're not gonna put those on particle board shelves. I can tell you that.
Can you imagine, dude? Those particle board bookshelves start to bend just with books on them. Never mind a statue like that, dude. Oh my gosh.
stop betting when you put the base on. Forget the rest of the statue.
I know. If I would, that's another thing too. I would definitely have to buy the bookshelf or whatever first, and then get the statue, because that's just too much. Even some of the like the cheaper end, like Iron Studios and Sideshow ones that are more like the 100, 200 range, they already got some weight to them. Because I have a couple of them, and they're not like PVC. They got some weight to those guys.
Yeah,
So,
they definitely do. And that's the other thing. Yeah, you just brought up another check mark in the figure collector.
right.
You don't have to be as picky with the show, or you can have DTOFs, because if you put one of those on the DTOF, it's going to shatter it like instantly. So again, it gives you more flexibility, man.
Right.
Not in terms of posing and being able to change up the poses, but you can get a particle board shelf. For us poor people, I don't have to get expensive big ass tables to hold a freaking 300-pound statue or whatever they weigh. But anyway, let us know in the comment section below.
Yep.
What do you guys prefer more, figures, statues, and if so, why? And don't beat us up too much, either one of us, because we're just doing this more for fun.
Yeah.
Just let us think, interact, let us know what you think, and if you agree with him, Respawn graded, then that's fine. If you agree with me, beat him up hard. Let him have it.
He can take it.
We can both take it. We can both. Fine. Absolutely fine.
No, but it would be interesting. I would be interested to know those, like, and you know what? Maybe it could be one of those things where people tend to collect more of the action figures because maybe they can't afford or have room for the statues. You know what I mean? That could be another thing too. So
that's definitely valid. I think the fact that you can't just put those on top of just any shelf is a fact. The price point, space, because I know a lot of collectors that would have more Prime ones, but they don't because of space. So, and even Sideshow ones, man, they're pretty damn heavy. You can't just throw it on top of a particle board. You really can't. So,
I actually know people that wish they could collect even action figures, and they just don't have the space because they live in like an apartment or maybe they're still at home or something like that, and they just don't have the room. Even for action figures, they don't have the room for it. But let's get a conversation going. Let's see what you guys think. Well, what do you collect? What do you want to collect? What are you interested in? And why?
What do you prefer? Figures.
Yeah. Statues, man. Statues.
Like, comment, subscribe, share.
That's right.
Hit the bell icon so that way you get notifications every time we upload one of these badass videos.
Yep. And if you guys haven't seen any of the other ones, check them out. They're pretty good too. So, we appreciate you guys very much for watching. I'm all set. You all done, bud? Anything else to add?
I'm good.
All right, man. So thank you guys very much for watching, and take care.